How to make water. How to make water. One of the more common questions I've seen is how to make water, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You can see my character here is at 0% on thirst and is starting to frankly die, which will be an issue you'll have at this sort of stage in the setup. So the first thing to say is don't forget that on the lander in the residential supplies crate there are 3 more water bottles, so the one you start with is not the only one you have. So grab one of those and right click to drink. If you're in imminent danger of death, what you can actually do is do a series of small like that, just get your thirst up from below 0 so that your health stops dropping, or you can just hold it and you can hear quite quickly I'm starting to clearly feel somewhat better. I'm going to also take the opportunity to eat some of the tomato soup. You'll also see there are 2 other cans of food on here. Thirst is more of an issue than a hunger, but obviously hunger we've kind of solved because we've got some crops growing. They may not be in the most nutritious state, but we could eat those tomatoes in there if we wanted to. But thirst is a problem. So what we're going to do is you need to build an ice crusher first of all, which you will get from the hydraulic printer. So I'll go ahead and print one of those now. Whilst that's printing, I'm just going to clear a bit of space here because I think that's going to be easier. In fact, that's printed already. That was very fast. So let's go and lay a couple of extra frames here, just give a bit of space to move. Drop them there. I realise I'm making a mess. You probably want to do this more tidily, but the point of this is to show you how to make water, not how to tidy your room. So we're just going to single weld these. I just want something that I can mount things on. There's some iron there, but I'm going to just do this anyway. And I think I've managed to do that, but who knows, we'll find out in a minute. So let's grab that. Let's put the sheets, we'll need the iron sheets in a minute anyway. I'm going to put the mining belt on because I'm just quickly going to just clear this space down here. Okay, looks like I managed to double weld one and miss the other. I'll go back and do that in a minute. Meantime, we've got a few bits of free iron. Right, so we'll put that, we'll put that away. Switch that back. So let's just tidy up a bit here as well, because otherwise these tools are all in the wrong place. It's better. Right, take one off here with a wrench. And, oops, no, not the screwdriver. Welding torch, missed then, and weld that on. Right click to turn it off, double tap F to put it away. Right, okay, that's given us a bit of space to work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the ice crusher here because we've got nice space there. So you can see they're quite compact, they don't need a lot of space, but look at all those ports to fix up. It looks a bit confusing, right? It's not as bad as it looks. You need power and data. You don't really need the data, but you definitely need power coming in at the bottom. I'm actually going to build this. I would normally build it flush to the wall like this, but so it's a bit easier to see, I'm going to move it and build it here. It's then got 2 pipes coming out the back, one for gas and one for water, and that's because all ice contains some gas and water ice also contains liquid, or contains water, which is liquid. If more liquids are added to the game later, I suspect we might see more of that as well. So let's just go ahead first of all and connect the power. That was the easy bit. Okay, now an ice crusher is not very difficult to make, but it does require a couple of extra bits. So it will require welding with a single iron sheet. Turn that off, put that away, and it will also require to cable, which you just install, and that's it, finished. So it's not a huge amount, but just be aware it does need those things. So what we've got here, I'm stuck on the terrain, what we've got here is a port on the front where we're going to put the ice in, a power switch, and when that's turned on and there's something in there, these grinders will run. And then on the back, at the top, we have a gas output. Down here we have a liquid output, and should we need it for any reason, we have a data output there, and obviously we could use that later on to potentially automate the ice crushing process. But for now we're concerned about how to get water, so what we're going to do is we are going to get some liquid pipes. I'm going to make a few of those, and you'll see they come out blue, which is convenient because you're at the moment only going to use them for water. You might wonder why I'm making this many, because you might think, well, you don't need to go very far with that, but actually we do need to do something with it, because if we just crush the ice, and it's crushing the ice, not melting the ice, which is the important point, what you'll end up with will be water in here, but at a temperature that is too cold to use to fill drinks bottles. So I'm going to run this. I'm actually going to run it down to floor height just because it will be a bit neater. I'm going to run it in here, and I'm going to run it inside the hab. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to print two things actually. I'm going to print a liquid valve, which I can't see now. I'm going to actually type it because why can't I see the valve? Right, liquid pipe valve. I don't know why I couldn't see that. And I'm also going to print a bottle filler, water bottle filler. That requires some silicon, which currently we don't have. So let's quickly go and see if we can find some near to the base. Doesn't need very much, but it does need some. So we're going to need some water ice anyway. In fact, we may as well equip the belt now. And check we've got some capacity there. So when you're mining ice, always make sure that you do actually have the mining belt equipped, because what you don't want to do is to end up with them in your hand. They will melt. I will show you with this. So if I mine this piece of oxide, it's gone straight to the belt, but if I didn't have the belt and it went to my hand, you can see in sunlight on the moon it's melting. Now obviously the atmospheric conditions of different planets may change that. That's nitrice. We're looking for the whitest ice. Like this, on the other hand, is silicon, which we do need, so that's fine. And actually this is a useful opportunity, if I can find some ice, a useful opportunity to show you the difference between ice and silicon, which from a distance can look quite similar, but ice is much smoother. I'm not going to be able to find any now, am I? You can see this silicon, it's quite kind of cracked looking, a bit veiny, and it's relatively angular. And I can't find any water ice near to the base. I'm sure there's plenty just below the surface, but of course typically when I'm looking for it, is that some there? Yes, it is. So you compare the texture of this, which is water ice, to the silicon, you can see it's much smoother. Right, so we go back towards the base. It's very easy to get lost when you're out mining, so we always be a bit careful of that. Pay a bit of attention to which direction you travelled in. If you get really lost, you can use your jetpack to take off and see whether you can see a bit more. So we'll put the silicon into there. And in the short term, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put that ice into the ice crusher. So I'm going to turn it on first because I don't want it sitting in that slot in sunlight. It will start to melt. But by turning that on first, I can then drag and drop, or I can wait till night time and put it in my hand, but it's better to, in the daytime, drag and drop straight into that slot, and you'll see it immediately closes. That spins up, and that has processed that. And in fact, you can see that the ice crusher is now containing some water and some nitrogen, and that's because water ice contains both of those. Now, the water has also come out into this pipe. We haven't done anything with the nitrogen, and we do need to put in place a pipe to deal with that, because otherwise eventually that ice crusher will overpressurize. There are many things you can explode and many ways to do that in Stationeers, and that would be one of them. So we'll see if we just fit the nitrogen or the gas pipe to here for now. It's not huge volume. Longer term, obviously you need to set up some gas processing, but I'll just put a little bit on. In fact, we'll use the last piece of pipe here. There we go. Let's try and get a bit of length into it, hence the slightly curvy shape. And you can see the nitrogen is now sitting in there, and it's not particularly highly pressurized. The pipe will take up to 60 MPa before it bursts, so 250 kPa is 1/240th of that, so that's fine. You can see the ice crusher's still actually got a reasonable amount of pressure in it. Right, so what we're going to do is we've now got the silicon that's come out, so we're going to pick that up, we're going to put that in there, and we are going to print that bottle filler, and then we're going to go inside. Did I bring... I'm going to grab that empty bottle and put it on my belt there, because I want something to fill up, otherwise it's going to be... whoops, I got stuck on the... Okay, so we come straight inside. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fit a valve here, and the reason I'm going to fit a valve is I want to split this pipe, and I'm going to fit a one-way valve. Like that. So that means that the water on this side can pass this way, but it's a no return valve. Effectively it can't go the other way. Now, actually, before I put the rest of the pipes, I'm just going to work out where the bottle filler needs to go. So the bottle filler needs to be connected up. Okay, it's a bit messy in here, but let's put this down on the floor as well here. In fact, it doesn't need power. That's a data port, so perhaps we'll mount it on the wall upside down, but that will do the job. Easy to access, and I think if I've counted correctly, we can do that with the pipes we have. 1, 2, maybe not quite. 1, no, I've done 1 too high. 2, 3. Right, let's move that down. Okay, that does need power as well, so we're going to connect the power. Hopefully we've got enough cable. So as we connect here, what you'll see I'm going to do, I've got a couple of choices for how I can cross this pipe. I can either go underneath the curve there, but that's going to cause me problems because I'm going to hit the door, or the other thing I can do is I can go across the straight like that. I can't go parallel to it, but I can cross it vertically or horizontally. I can't do that. Obviously I can't cross where there's a valve either, so it's just worth understanding that if you need to cross pipes and wires, you can do that, and it does work. And as is so often the way in Stationeers, I've landed up with one piece too few, so save you waiting while I make some more. I'm just going to spawn some in because this is a creative world to show you how the systems work. Okay, so that's now connected. That now lights up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put the bottle in there. Now the problem that we will have is that that bottle will not fill if the water in this pipe is below freezing, and the water that came through the pipe was substantially below freezing. You can see it's now warming up, and that's why we've split this, because we know that this hab is warm, it's cold outside. So what we've done is we've effectively created two pieces of pipe, one that runs outside here, and that contains, I can't get the angle right, I'll go outside and show you in a moment, that contains the water exposed to the outside temperatures, and then this contains water exposed to the inside temperatures. That will allow the water on this side to reach a high enough temperature to fill the bottle, and in fact you'll see that bottle is now at 100% full, whereas the water outside may or may not be above freezing, because when you crush the ice it's too cold and it will not fill the bottles. In fact, in this case it's only 0.2 degrees cooler, and that's because the sun has not long set and has been shining directly on this. But if you create this setup and you've got a crusher and you've got the pipes and you've got the filler, and you can't get the bottles to actually fill with water, you're putting them in and nothing's happening, check the temperature of that pipe, make sure it's between above 0 and below 100 Celsius, so that the water is in a liquid state. If it's below 0 at the moment, you can still have it in the liquid pipe, and it will actually still move around strangely, but the bottle filler does not work. And the same is true above 100, although at that point it should be a gas. Phase changes haven't been implemented at the moment, at least, so you can still pipe it through this pipe above 100, but you cannot fill the bottle. Be cautious if you do fill the bottle with very hot water. That's generally not massively healthy to drink, so just be aware of that as well. But that's the most common problem I see, is either that the thing's not turned on, obviously we all do that sometimes, or especially because these devices change, right? So sometimes a device like this maybe initially didn't require power, now does. That's a common problem, especially if you reload an old world. But the other common problem that I see there is that this temperature is in the wrong range. So the fix for this is accept that the piping outside is going to be cold, put in this valve which then effectively splits it into a pipe out here and a separate pipe in there, and allow the pipe in there obviously then to warm up. And that's why we put the bottle filler inside. It's mildly inconvenient, you have to go inside to go and get the water, but to be fair, that doesn't feel unreasonable.